has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The Bears need a burger, need a bad apple, with a bad attitude. We are live in the SportsGrid Network studios in Philadelphia, New Jersey, down the shore, like you read about, along with Carver High today. Mafia's running it with Luke. I am your father. Just so we're clear, we're going to be blowing out on the NBA draft. Round 2 begins in 1 hour from now at 4 Eastern, and we're going to have you on every angle, every player, every pick, everything that goes down at the Barclays in no sleep till. We've got you covered today. There is day ball at 3:40 East. Minnesota and Arizona going to go at it in the desert. The Snakes have Montgomery going for him today on the bump against Festa for the Twins. 3:45 Cubs and Giants at Oracle. That game is Imanaga and Hicks. It's a pick 'em, and it's 7.5 the total. I can't figure out why. The Cubs, I think, have dropped 16 of the last 20 on the road. They've lost 4 straight. They've been awful. Obviously, the reason everyone's excited today is Imanaga's pitching with his 7-2 record and 2.96 ERA. So that's why it's a pick 'em against Hicks. Meanwhile, Hicks is 4-4 with a 3.24 and a 1.28 whip. We'll keep our eyes on those games. At 4:10, Atlanta and the White Sox on the south side of Chicago. Chris Sale against Cool. And then everything else is at night in terms of baseball. Miami and Philly at the bank in Philadelphia. Rogers against Wheeler there. And by the way, we just showed you the odds on that Atlanta game. Sales minus 320 right now. 8 is the total. They're giving the White Sox no chance whatsoever. I mean, you can't even bet that thing on the run line. You got to pay $1.95 with juice to even lay the 1.5. That's how bad they think the Braves are going to kick the White Sox teeth in. So Miami and Philly is same thing. Wheeler minus 334. 8 is the total. If you wanted to run line that game, same thing. Minus $1.45. You got to lay the 1.5, and still 98% of the public is betting on Philly to cover that run line spread. So those are just ridiculous numbers. Who wants to pay that? 6:35 Texas and Baltimore. Gray against Burns at Camden. I bet on this game on the run line, believe it or not. What did I get it at? I got it at even money. I actually think I got it at plus money, laying the 1.5. And a lot of people are certainly betting that. Gray's 3-3 with a 3.03 ERA. Burns has been unbelievable for the Orioles. 8-3 with a 2.35 and a 1.01 whip. And he's gone almost 100 innings with 94 strikeouts, 24 walks. Burns has been everything they dreamt he would be in Baltimore since he left Milwaukee. The Yankees are finally done getting their ass beat by the Mets. So now they're in Toronto, where they've had success already. Rodon against Barrios tonight at 7:07. 9 is the total. Yankees minus $1.35 with Rodon. If you want to run line it, you can get plus money, plus 118. Cincy and St. Louis. Abbott and Costello against Mikolas. Mikolas minus 140 at Busch at home. 7.5 is the total. I just watched the Pirates shred the Reds and win that series in the Queen City yesterday. Kutch with a 2-run bomb to dead center. DeLay had a big game with the bat as well, the Pirate catcher. Pirates won that series at 8-10 tonight. Cleveland and Kansas City. Lively. I wish it was Blake Lively. Hey now. Against Waka Waka Waka. Cleveland minus $1.20. I actually bet them today at minus 112. I got them at minus 112 this morning and bet the Guardians 8.5 is the total. That one's on FS1 at 8:10 tonight. And then at 9:38 at the A in Anaheim, the Tigers, Flaherty against the Angels and Daniel. Detroit is favored minus $1.55, 8.5 the total. If you wanted to run line it, you could get $1.10 if the Tigers can win by 2 runs. 75% of the money is on that happening. Obviously, the Rocket Mortgage is going on. I don't know this guy. I'm going to call him Aaron Rybread. I'm guessing. Like, he's 6 under. He has a 1-stroke lead over Nick Dunlap Tires. Cameron Forever Young is also 1 back. So is Ben Coles, which is Ben Stevens' uncle. I'm just kidding. Ben Silverman is also in that pack at 5 under. Griffin 4 under. Juan 4 under. Aaron Battley, I haven't heard his name in forever. A huge group of golfers, including Cole, Bridgman, Thompson, Phillips, all at 4 under. So it is really the who's who of no names at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit right now on the PGA side. I'm sure Carver High has a bunch of tickets on that. We'll get into that with him in a minute. And then, of course, the draft last night. We know what happened. It's this simple. We're going to talk to Coach Young later in the second hour when the draft begins. In the third hour, the Kevin Young will be here, KW, styling with us and breaking it all down as the picks fly in. I think the thing that stood out to me the most, to be honest with you, was Dalton Knecht dropping all the way down to 17 and the Lakers getting their hands on this guy. And everybody that watches college basketball, that really knows the game, that sees a lot of games and watched a lot of SEC games and watched a lot of NCAA tournament games, knows flat out that this guy is a bucket waiting to happen. He's unbelievable. He can score from everywhere. There's nowhere on the floor that he's not able to put it through. Corner pocket, deep, in either side, on the wings, on the elbows, the mid-range game, off the elbow, in that short wing, top of the key, deep, inside. He can get inside. He's big enough to go to the 10 and flush it. He's got every trick in his bag. He's just a pure shooter and a pure scorer. And it is really going to open up the floor for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, look, I don't think the Lakers are good. I don't think they're anything to be afraid of. There's certainly better teams in the West, and there's, teams with more talent in the West, that's for sure. I mean, we saw the Lakers get a win against Denver and then get annihilated again, right? So that's really who they are. But they've lacked sorely a shooter, a scorer, someone that can take the pressure off of LeBron James, who has to do all of the shooting basically from outside along with Reeves, and then AD does the damage inside. I thought their bench was Hack City, and now you got a kid. Obviously, he's going to have to learn the ropes, but he can certainly fill it up from anywhere. And I think he's going to be left wide open at times because they're so worried about LeBron, so worried about AD, so worried about the Hillbilly Mamba that it's going to leave Knecht open for looks. And, I mean, this guy can flat out dagger. That's all I know. I thought the Wizards had a great first round. I thought the T-Wolves had a great first round. They get Dillingham, and then they get Shannon, who people are still convinced is some rapist or something. He was cleared of those charges. That nightmare's over for him. And my man was scoring 35 a game in the NCAA tournament for Illinois. He's another guy that is just going to absolutely fill it up.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can it be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
This new sports integrity partnership, Genius Sports, is involved in this. More protection.
They said that's going to allow them to beef up their protection and add more integrity monitoring tools to essentially catch bad behavior before it happens. This comes, obviously, after a just ton of scandals we've had across sports betting lately, whether it's the MLB umpire, Pat Hoberg.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later? Put a little BetMGM action on it, and now any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Hit him with the promo.
All right, back with my boy Carver High. Here he is, styling. So I was just talking about a couple things from round one. And first of all, go ahead, let it out.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing better than you.
Yeah, well, it was quite the haul. But hey, that is what it is. You know what it feels like? It's like when you got the early tee time, and you run a little bit late, and you get right out of the parking lot, and you got to run right to that tee box. You just got to pull the club right out of the bag. You don't even get to swing a warm-up. You don't get anything. It's just you get right out of the car.
And tee it up.
Go right to the tee box. Boom. And you just got to go. That's it.
That's the worst.
It's the worst, but it is what it is. You got to go with it. It is what it is. So that's how it rolls.
That's exactly the way it is today.
We got NBA draft today, round number 2.
Right.
It's Bronny Day, right? Isn't that what really round number 2 is? It's Bronny Day.
Well, I got to say, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm still.
You think he's not gonna make it?
I think there might be potential for that. It's not like that couldn't happen. I mean, there's only 28 picks.
There's only
right
28
now.
picks.
If you look at the board of best available, he's sitting at 25 with 28 picks today in the second round. That's all there is. 2 of them are out, so there's only 28 picks that are going to be made. He's got to be one of them. Now, everyone thinks he's going,
and
everyone thinks he's automatic. But I sat here for months on this network listening to people tell me he was going number 1.
Well,
and then I listened to people tell me he was going number 17. And then I listened to people tell me that he was going in the first round no matter what. And now I'm not hearing any of those people. And I have told you this over and over. Now, I went and had lunch with Coach, and he's still trying to sell me on the fact that if he would have gone back to college, he could have ended up hurting himself even more if he didn't have a a good year. And I said that if he played at Duquesne and he played in that conference, I thought that he would go off because, look, I think at USC he was terrible.
Right.
It's just flat out. He averaged 4 points, right? And he was not an NBA player in the least, in my opinion. But I think if he played another year, he would have been incredible in the A-10, and I think he would have lit it up. I think he would have scored at least 15 to 20 points a game, and I think he would have had a green light, and I think next year he would have gone in the draft without provocation. Now they rushed him into this draft so he could allegedly play with his daddy, and I'm not a fan of that at all. The whole nepotism thing makes me sick. Like, am I supposed to believe this guy's a great player because his dad is? Because he's nowhere near as good as that. In fact, from what I've heard, Mike, his little brother's better than him.
That is the word on the street, is that his little brother is better than him as well. But, I mean, look, I kind of have to throw last year out, right? Kid had a heart problem a year. He's lucky he even played last year for USC. And that's even more reason.
Listen,
why
I
you're
had a
right.
heart problem, and I score 4 points the first 2 minutes I play every day.
You're right in the aspect of he should have went and played another year of college ball. Because if he is that good, he could have dominated a place like that.
Shown his stuff.
I don't think you get the real interpretation of him off of what he did at USC last year. I don't think it's fair. Because of the year that he had.
Listen, I think he's going to sit on the bench and eat his boogers. Like, who's going to play him?
He's not. Even if he goes with his dad, what's he, the 13th guy on the bench?
Literally.
He's playing in what? Those 40-point blowout games? Those games that are 125-87 with 4 minutes to go in the fourth? That's the burn he's going to get? That's it? That's all a burn?
Maybe not even that. I mean, literally, like, he might be the guy
Not everyone gets
that
in those
doesn't
games.
get in the game at all, no matter what. You know, when he plays at practice and warming up for every game, he gets to go out on the floor and look cool before the game when they all wear their tear-off pants and their warm-ups and they get to fill it up. It's like as ridiculous as, in my opinion, when he was at USC, average 4, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah.
And then they show him at the combine hitting 10 threes in a row from the corner pocket. So everyone automatically moved him into, bettors put him into the number one slot in the draft. I mean, how stupid do you have to be, honestly, to believe that he was the number one player to be taken in the NBA draft? Secondly, I don't care if a guy, I can hit 10 in a row standing in the gym from the corner pocket. Anyone can do that plays ball. When he's in a game, he doesn't do it.
Right.
You know what they say? I heard this guy, Gino Auriemma, said it best. He said,
Gino.
Every kid that I see now has more talent, more speed, more hops, more dunk, more everything. Shoots threes, does it all, can fill it up. And he said the minute you put somebody on them in a game, it all disappears. They got no game at all when someone's in their face. Everyone's wide open at the combine with someone feeding them. You know what it is? It's the three-point shooting contest at the All-Star game.
Right.
Like, someone's feeding him balls and he's shooting threes. I can do that drunk. I mean, like, you know the record in the Ferrall driveway, 394 free throws in a row. Like, I'll do it all day. But when someone's in your face that's 6'9" with a stretch 7-1 draw, so let's see him make a shot. He couldn't make the shot with someone on him.
I'd agree with that, and I think it's going to help him. Here's why he's going to get drafted today, because the draft just isn't that strong.
Honestly, Carver, stop 1 second. You know, I think that the Super Bowl, was it the Super Bowl we were here?
Yeah.
I think
yes, I think we were here for the Super Bowl, but we weren't together.
Well, the Rose Bowl, I was really fat. The Super Bowl, I was extraordinarily fat.
Joey Prawns brought you trays of food.
I mean,
I hear you had lunch with Coach today? Did I hear that?
I'm fat, but I'm not as bad as I was at the Super Bowl. I'm feeling like it's more of a bicycle tire than a Michelin.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. At wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High, I wanted to get your opinion on a few things from last night.
Yeah.
I had already mentioned before you sat down, Connect, that he fell to the Lakers. And you talk about a team needing a guy that could hit a shot from the outside and open up that floor for everybody else. LeBron, Reeves, and then teams have to worry about AD. But now to have that guy, that pure stroke shooter who can hit from anywhere, that he fell, people thought he was going 6th.
Yeah.
That he fell to 17. All it did was cost him a lot of money, Mike. But, he's going to make around $18 million. He could have made, $35 million. But he's going to be fine with his $18 million. But I know this. It doesn't matter how much money he makes because he can shoot.
He could shoot, no doubt about that. And, yes, he'll be okay with the $18 million. And the one thing he'll also be able to do now is, I think in the role and the team that he's going to, it's going to allow him, Scotty, right, to make more money down the road because he's in a perfect spot playing there where if he could just make some shots, that's his job, right? That's really all he needs to do. He's got to be able to hit those threes, and if he could do that, he'll make his money down the road. Perfect spot. Lakers love these guys, right, that are in there. And J.J. Redick being the coach now, you get connected. I was surprised that he fell. Kind of a J.J. Redick type player, right? Sky, a little bit bigger than Redick, obviously. But
a lot bigger
than Redick. But in terms of how he could shoot, cause you a little bit of a problem out there, I think that's a really nice pick for the Lakers. And even Pelinka said, and maybe we'll play it in a little while, that they were surprised that a top 10 guy like him fell all the way down.
Everyone was surprised because they thought he was going 6th, and he went 17. And who reminds me of Redick more is this kid, Reed Shepard, that went to Houston at 3. And a lot of people thought that he, perhaps could have been, in that same ilk, it could have been Klingon at the 3. A lot of people thought Klingon was going to go number 1 as well. So 1, 3, and then he ended up going, 7 to Portland.
Yeah.
But I think J.J. Redick was more of a shooter like Reed Shepard is, just a pure outside stroke shooter, coming off a screen, probably the purest shooter in the NCAA game last year, no doubt about it. But stunning a little bit for me that little white boy went number 3 overall. So they obviously think that he can fill it up at a high level. But I'll tell you what, I think he's a teeny guy, and I'm not a fan of that. If I got a guy that can score like Connect can at 6'6", almost 6'7", what he can do with a ball outside and drive and post up and body and dribble drive and bang. I mean, he can get to his spots and get to the 10 and get to the low block with his size. And that little kid, Shepard, can't do any of that. He can't do any of that.
No, he can't do any of that. You're right. That's not his game. He's just strictly shooting from downtown. I guess what screwed everything up, Scotty, and what allowed most of these guys to fall was the Pistons taking Holland, right? Because that was the out of nowhere thing, taking that kid from the G League, because nobody had him going in the top 10, and suddenly there he is sitting there at 5, which allowed Klingon to slip down, allowed other guys to slip down. And the one thing that really I couldn't get or figure out, and maybe you can help me out with it, the Spurs had 2 picks, right? They had the 4 and the 8.
Right.
And they took Dillingham from Kentucky with the 8th pick and then traded him to Minnesota for picks like 6 years from now, like a 2030 first rounder. Isn't that a team, the Spurs, that needs help now? Don't we need help now? Why are we trading for picks?
I mean,
6-7 years down the road. That made no sense to me whatsoever.
I wouldn't argue with that they need help now. But the bottom line is, I think from my end and perspective on that was that Dillingham ends up going to Minnie, and then they add Terrence Shannon, who is, I think, the best scoring player in America. I thought north-south, up and down, speed, and he can kill you from outside or inside. He can, he can really fire away from deep, and he can also drive and dunk. I mean, he is an explosive scorer, and I thought that, frankly, the fact that they got those 2 players, because Dillingham can flat-out play, but he's small. And then this guy, Shannon, I think people had a bad, image of him, a bad reputation. He's in court for rape. He got off. He got cleared. And then people still, it seemed to me, Mike, that it's still he was treated as though he still did it, the way he dropped. Top 10 talent, treated like he's still a rapist, even though he was cleared of those charges. But he still went in the first round.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So, Carver High, real briefly, I want to tell you this story of what happened to me last night.
Okay.
I'm leaving this restaurant. I'm on this dangerous highway. People do 75, 85 miles an hour on this thing, 5 lanes wide. And in the moment we were talking about, like, I was sitting in the back seat and 34C was driving. I'm like, you drive like an animal. I go, I'm not even safe. I'm scared to death with your driving. I go, and if you wreck, what are you going to do? And she's like, well, you wouldn't get out and help anyone. I go, you shouldn't get out and help anyone. Get out of the car on the freeway and start walking around thinking you got it all figured out. You get clipped. And then literally 5 seconds later, I see this Honda Accord. He was trying to weave his way through all the traffic doing 80, 85 miles an hour. And he hit some guy's end. And he went into the right curb. And then the car literally 85 miles an hour, jackknifed the other way to the median, hit the median. The car exploded into a million pieces, smoke everywhere. The engine of the car flew out of the front of the car into the other side of the highway without hitting any cars. Cars swerving and missing it everywhere, the engine bouncing down the road. And then when the smoke cleared, there they were, the wife and husband ejected from the car, laying in the road. The woman was moving on her hands and knees. The husband looked like, to me, as my daughter was filming it, my son called 911. We were the first car behind the wreck and stopped. 34C got out of the car to help. She went up to the guy. He's laying in the road. Broken arms, broken legs, skull fracture. The entire side of his brain had scraped the cement, and all of his hair was gone, and you could see his brain, his skull was cracked in half. And then when he tried to get up and walk, and we wanted him to stay on the ground, and the guy tried to get up and walk. And when he got up to walk, his eyeball fell out of his eye socket and was hanging down by his mouth. And then literally the woman screamed, "My baby is in the car." And then my wife, 34C, went over on her hands and knees and pulled a 6-month newborn out of a car seat, untouched, unscratched, unhurt. And it wasn't even crying. And then I sold the baby for $10,000 on the side of the road. I'm just kidding. But no, she pulled the baby out of the wreck and then gave it to the mother. Police showed up. Ambulances showed up. Chaos right in front of me last night. I saw that. And Chop filmed the whole thing. I got it all on video to show you. They won't let me air it on SportsGrid. I'll get sued.
The baby was all right.
The baby was all right.
All right.
It was unbelievable.
I can't think about this stuff.
You can't have it at this time of the show.
I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I've had kids, like
you worry.
I can't think about this stuff.
Can't
like
worry.
It
was awful.
There's so many awful things, unfortunately.
It was Formula One, bro.
I just can't.
You know when the guy in the Formula One car crashes and then he walks away because he's got the harness?
Yeah.
The baby was saved because of the baby seat. The father broke every bone in his body. They called us 2 hours later, the Popo, and told us he was in the trauma unit at the hospital, and the wife was okay.
That's wild.
It was crazy. You got some reaction to last night's draft?
Yeah, let's do a couple things here. First, I know you already set us up. We got a couple baseball games to start in like 5 minutes. We're good to go with those. You got
I said
Minnesota.
that they were...
You got Minnesota and the Diamondbacks, the Snakes, finishing things off out in the desert. You're good there. Montgomery against Festa with a little pick'em here today with the flat 9. I'll tell you, I'm on Royce Lewis to homer in this game at a little plus 475 this afternoon. So I do have that working. From the Tater Time side of things for the afternoon baseball.
I'll bet on Montgomery. I think it's about time he starts winning and turning it around. He's been awful in Arizona. I mean, they're coming back to life a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Twins are already there at 44 and 36, but this team's 2 games under 500 now, the D-backs. I'll give Montgomery a stab in that early game.
Another one in about 5 minutes. You have the Cubbies and the Giants in San Francisco. Imanaga, who honestly has been smashed his last few times out.
Right.
He has been awful. Hicks is going for the Giants. Another afternoon pick'em for you. here with minus
Yeah.
$1.10 both ways with a 7.5 on the total.
I said it was a shock earlier that it's a pick 'em, but they're all excited about Imanaga. Here's the deal. They've lost 4 in a row and 16 of their last 20 on the road. I'm still going with the Giants at Oracle today and Hicks over Imanaga and the Cubs. The Cubs are a flat-out, terrible road baseball team. That's all there is to it.
They are dreadful. Well, there's no question about that. And the only other day ball game is in about a half hour in Chicago, a makeup actually from a rainout a couple months ago. The Braves will have Chris Sale going against the White Sox, who have your boy Chad, you're so cool, going. Minus 3 Bills for the Braves, plus 250 for the White Sox, and a flat 8. I'm on Olsen here. See, I'm chasing a little bit with Olsen now, Scotty. Played him in both legs of the doubleheader yesterday with the Braves, and he didn't hit one for me. So now we're trying to get paid back on Matt Olsen. So we're going to play him against Chad.
You're going to play him again.
Cool.
So, look, this is an ugly game. I think, last night I did a late press on the Dodgers against the White Sox, and they killed them 4-0 and covered the 1.5. The Braves will do the exact same thing here. You got to pay massive juice, almost 2 bills to even lay a 1.5. I think the odds for this game are terrible and not worth it, but I think the Braves will spank the White Sox easy.
Would you like to meet, and we'll do all of tonight's games later on Coast to Coast. We, of course, will get involved. There's a bunch of night games. The Yankees are in Toronto tonight after getting smashed by the Mets the last couple nights at Citi Field. We'll see if they can bounce back. I know
they've done well up there.
They've done well in Toronto, so we'll see if they can go against Berrios. We'll do the numbers later. You want to meet a couple of these guys from the NBA draft here?
Yes.
And we obviously don't know much about Zachary Richeche, who went number 1 overall to the Atlanta Hawks. I did learn this about him, Scott. He speaks pretty good English as he comes over here from France. He'll be in Atlanta now. Who does he think his game is most modeled after? Let's go and hear from Richeche.
I kind of all my life took inspiration of a lot of players, so that would be difficult, but I like to say that kind of Klay Thompson. I like the way he play, and I think we got same game. He's obviously a better shooter than me, but I think with hard working, I can improve this style of my game and improve a lot of more.
Good luck with that in Atlanta, kid. He's not going to know what hit him. It ain't France and Hot Town, believe me. Look, the kid can shoot. There's no doubt. I've seen him in transition. He can shoot. And the other thing about him is he can block shots. I mean, the guy, he plays defense. He's a really good defender. And, Klay isn't, okay, in my view. Klay's a shooter. So, he's the perfect 2-guard. And this kid, I think, is, certainly bigger and longer, and he alters shots, blocks shots. He's very good defensively. I think that's combined with his outside shot. I think that's why he ended up going number 1, because he really was, at the end of the day, maybe the best defensive player available in the draft.
Now, they were all, I think they all booed at the Hawk watch party down in Atlanta. Not that anyone knows who he is. Not that any Atlanta Hawk fan has ever seen this kid play basketball before. I think they were only booing him yesterday because they watched Coach with me here on Coast to Coast, and Coach comped him to Tobias Harris. And I think that's why they started booing, because Coach said he was going to be like Tobias Harris. I think if you're spending the number 1 overall pick in the draft, that's probably not the guy that you want to have the comp to.
I mean,
right?
he never wins. He makes a ton of money.
I'd like to make his money.
He makes a ton of money.
That'd be pretty good. Make Tobias his money.
I don't think he's a difference maker, Harris. But look, I got to agree with Coach. I think he's more Harris, and he is not Klay Thompson at all.
No.
I think he is more Harris. Harris is a lot bigger, a lot sturdier, can block a shot, whatever. This guy, Richeche, can actually, seriously block shots.
Yep.
I mean, all the footage I saw of him in his career was, frankly, defensive videos of him playing great defense in the paint and blocking shots and altering shot.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You know, BetMGM's 2-up early payout is incredible. Get in on the excitement of summer soccer with BetMGM's early payout markets. Avoid the last-minute penalties and win your wager. If your team takes a 2-goal lead, that's all it takes. How do you bet it? You select any Euro or Copa match you want to bet. Scroll to the match result market with the early payout tag within that match. Place a regular time bet on either team in the match result market. If they take a 2-goal lead, your bet will be paid out early as a winner. No matter the result of the match, it's incredible. Go to BetMGM.com or the BetMGM app on iOS or Android for full details. You're going to love it, though. If you're watching the Euros or Copa and your team goes up 2 and you bet on it, you're getting paid right in the middle of the match.
I know we're going to get to it later. How about Portugal losing
I watched
Georgia yesterday?
I watched.
Wild.
I actually thought that even though it didn't seem like it, they knew they were moving on, and it seemed to me like they didn't care.
They actually did know going into the match they were advanced into the knockout round.
No matter what.
Either way.
So they didn't care.
And it seemed like it, and it ended up giving us one of the bigger upsets, especially ticket-wise, ever at the Euros with Georgia, who was in it for their first time.
First time ever, and you beat Portugal. That's pretty impressive.
And advanced to the knockout round now. So
yeah, they're
Georgia
in.
will get to play. And they're playing nice consolation prize. They get Spain in the knockout.
Spain
round.
never loses.
So Spain doesn't lose at the Euros
ever,
and they probably won't there. I know I heard you say when I walked in that Aaron Rybread was 6 under at the Rocket Mortgage Classic up in Detroit. He has some company there now, unfortunately. Taylor Montgomery is at 6 under as well. And the problem for us, and we have Aaron Rye at 55-1 as a first round leader today. The problem is that Montgomery has the entire back 9 left to go. So he did 6 under on his front 9. So off to a very hot start, Montgomery, but maybe he can bogey a couple holes and give us a chance here with Rybread, because we would hate to give that up. I mean, 55-1.
I'm hoping that Montgomery starts spraying shots into the woods.
That would be the most ideal.
And I pray that he doubles 3 straight holes, and then you hit the 55-1.
Very helpful. Let's hear from a couple of these other guys last night at the NBA draft first round. How about some of the UConn kids off of this national championship team? We'll start with Klingon, Scotty, who it was another surprise that he slipped. We were talking top 3 for him. There was some outside chances at 1, but we didn't think he'd fall out of the top 5. Goes all the way to 7, down to Portland. Klingon very excited to get his NBA career started.
I'm really excited. I know I've been watching the league the past couple of years and, see the talent that they have and the potential that,
they don't have any talent.
This team has going forward. I'm really excited to get to work, really excited to, build a great relationship with the staff, my teammates and, everyone in the building. And I really just want to learn every day. I want to grow every day, and I want to try to bring championships back to Portland.
I have to tell you, I think he's a hell of a player, a great kid. Everyone loves him. Hurley loved him. UConn fans loved him. He certainly made his mark in the Big East. I'll say this, though. He's going to purgatory. I don't care what anybody says. I love Portland. I've done shows there. Everyone knows I'm cool with Portland. It is a cool place. It's a beautiful place. It's a fun place. But for me, in basketball, it's like going to Leavenworth. Honestly, it is a federal prison sentence. You go there to rot. You just don't matter. No wonder. You see what it does to people? Like Dame Lillard now won't give a kid a picture. He won't dap a kid up that loves him because he left there a bitter old man with no rings, and then it followed him right to Milwaukee, all of his bad luck. So this is what happens when you go play in Portland. I mean, honestly, am I wrong? Don't even tell me I'm wrong. What player goes there and does anything except be miserable?
It is kind of like one of those, and I always say this to you when guys need new homes, it is one of those witness protection program cities.
Or it's a great place to send a malcontent. Trade him to Portland.
Right. If you have a guy that, we talked about this a lot with Ben Simmons, he probably needed to go to a place where no one's going to hassle him. He could just tell everybody how much his back hurts all the time.
Right.
And nobody's going to give him any
He would have been perfect there.
Like Portland, Sacramento, Orlando. Those are the real witness protection programs of the NBA.
I think Sacramento is a better spot than Portland.
It's a better team. I'm saying take the team out of it, where you're going.
Where you just don't matter.
And the pressure, there's no media, there's no you just, nobody's going to hassle you.
Right.
If you suck, you're not going to get, you can go get a burger down the road and nobody's going to be like, dude, you're awful. They don't even know who you are.
They don't even care.
So that's part of it. It's a witness protection program city.
You got nice trolleys there.
Nice
really
trolleys
nice
indeed. Let's also slide in the other member of UConn's championship team, and that's Stephon Castle, who is going to San Antonio. And, of course, Scotty, if you're going to San Antonio, you're excited about playing with our boy Wembanyama. Castle will do well there. Here he is.
They always told me that they were super high on me, but of course it's the NBA draft, so you can't make any promises to anybody. But I just can't wait to get out there and show my versatility, especially with the kind of talent that we already have on that team. It being the youngest team in the league right now. So I feel like our future is pretty bright, and I just can't wait to get out there.
He can play. So, you talked earlier about why would they give up, Dillingham and ship him out. Look, they got this guy, and he's gonna be a stud. And Wembanyama, I think, is frankly taking over the NBA, and he already I think has his footprint in that department. I thought last year. This last season, what he did in San Antonio in the minutes that they gave him was phenomenal. The guy's a freak. And then to add this young talent who can really play, we're going to see how he, equates as a pro. It's, I got to be honest with you. It's one thing to be great at UConn and be surrounded by great D1 players, a national championship atmosphere, national championship team, coach that's won multiple titles. It's another thing to be a professional and playing in the NBA without all your little college buddies. It's a whole new world, baby.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High, what did Pelinka say about having Connect fall into his lap?
Yeah, obviously slipping all the way down to the 17th pick. Very surprising to everybody, including Laker general manager Rob Pelinka. Here he is saying, man, I love this kid, Connect.
We would have never imagined a player as skilled and sort of perfect for our needs would be there for us as Dalton Connect. We had him as a top 10 player unanimously across our scouting boards. I was at the SEC tournament scouting him extensively, and in my mind was like, there's no way a player like this could be available for us to pick on draft night.
I mean, it is crazy.
It is crazy, and I think he is going to do very well.
They said it was because of his age.
I mean, because he's 23, is that why? And
suddenly he's an old man.
So because he's 23 and everybody else is 18, 19 years old that gets drafted, you're losing 4 or 5 years off of everybody else.
So
that makes no sense.
What do I want to get out of this kid? Like, first of all, you're going to get 4 years on him no matter what, right? And then if he's good, if he's great, you give him a new deal. If he's not, you package him and get rid of him.
Do you know what the thing is, though, is that most of these 18 and 19-year-old kids, now look, are there a few that are absolutely...
They're not ready.
Are no doubt about it, ready to be NBA superstars right now? Sure. There's a couple. But this kid's the other side of the spectrum. He's 23. He's played a ton of college basketball. He's got a lot of...
Ton of big games.
Ton of big games. Won big awards. And you don't have to worry. You can slide him in and... He's going to be able to play big minutes in the NBA. I'm fine with it. I'm stunned that he slipped, and they're going to do just fine with him in there. We'll get coaching in a moment, and we'll talk about a couple of these other guys. I haven't talked to you about Edey yet. We mentioned the other day that we thought there was starting to be some rumblings that he was going to slip into or go up into the top 10, and sure enough, he ends up doing that. We thought maybe Portland at 7, but it ends up being Memphis at 9 who gets the big fella. They all seem excited. I saw the GM. He was head over heels. Ja Morant with the Instagram seemed excited about it. Edey in Memphis, Scotty. Wow.
Yeah, listen, I am excited for him. I can't wait to watch him play at the next level. I think it's stunning, as I've said many times, that a 2-time player of the year, 2-time Wooden, the most dominant player unequivocally in college basketball. He owned college basketball. He owned the Big Ten. He owned Indiana. He owned the Hoosiers when they played him. No one could stop him. In the national title game, he owned Klingon. Of course, Klingon went 2 spots before him. We're going to see a lot more of him playing in Memphis than we are ever again going to see Klingon. The next time you see Klingon, he'll look like Bill Walton did in the 70s playing for the Blazers. He'll have a beard and he'll gain 25 pounds. I'm telling you, this guy is the best seal big. In other words, sealing off defenders. He's literally got airplane arms, wings, in other words. And he has, I think, the most dominant inside mini hook game, glass game, rebounding game, shot blocking, alley-oop dunk game in college basketball. I'm offended by all of the people that think that he's not a good basketball player and that he's not going to be able to hack it in the NBA. I think all of the people that think that are morons.
And there are a lot of people that think that. I was very surprised last night watching some of the reaction afterwards about everybody destroying this pick. What an awful pick. What a waste of a pick. Why are you picking him in the top 10? This is kind of like what we were just saying with Connect, right? He's got a lot of experience. He's a little bit older than these other guys, and he's gotten better every single year. And that counts for something. Oh, he's going to get burned in the pick and roll. Oh, they'll figure it out. All right.
Oh my God, he is the pick and roll.
They'll figure it out. Don't worry.
He is the pick and roll. Let me tell you something else about him. He is, unequivocally. They say he can't hack it at the next level, getting up and down the floor. He played 40 minutes a game every game of the NCAA tournament. He played almost 40 minutes a game in the Big Ten season in every game and the Big Ten tournament. He is made of steel. He does not go down like, Anthony Davis when the wind blows. He's out a month. I firmly believe this. I'll believe it when I see it, that Klingon's body will stay healthy out in Portland. I believe Edey will stay healthy, will bang, will produce. 7'4", 300 pounds. He's going to do whatever he wants. I'm telling you, he's going to get position and dunk in people's faces in the NBA from day one.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it is going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.